Hello guys.
More applause, please.
Thanks for coming. It's late afternoon. I know some of us may be tired. Some of us had a long night, but luckily you made it this far. So, as you heard, my name is Ilari Kuittinen. I'm CEO of Housemarque. Been that for the past 23 years. And the topic is Reinventing Housemarque. I'm gonna tell about what the Arcade is Dead was all about if you don't know that. So let's move on. So I intro myself, I'll tell a little bit more. I tell about the company, our sort of a history in 5 minutes. What is Arcade is Dead? Then I go into the core beliefs, what we have had over the years, and why we are making certain decisions of our company, to sort of what the kind of strategy has been, and how we are approaching this new company culture. We are sort of reinventing ourselves. We are growing as a company. There are more people coming from abroad to our Helsinki studio. And sort of we are entering into a new era as a company. So, as I said, I'm CEO of Housemarque. The company was founded in '95. Basically, it was 24 years ago when I contacted my now business partner Harri Tikkanen. We had both had own small studio based in Helsinki, and we kind of wanted to join forces and started discussing, and then like a few months forward we got our first agreement, and with the signature money we kind of rented our first office in June 1995. So my first company was called Terramark a couple of years earlier. It wasn't really a professional thing. I used to study history at the University of Tampere, and I dropped out when I co-founded Housemarque. I've done quite a bit of association work. I was the first chairman of the board of the Finnish Game Developers Association, and then a kind of a center of Finnish game industry called Neo Games as well. So I've been kind of seeing the whole development of Finnish game development scene. So when we started, there was basically 20-30 people in the industry in the whole Finland. So 2 studios, us and Remedy, and now we are like 3,000 strong industry with some of the leading companies like Supercell, Rovio, obviously us. Some lesser known names like Remedy and these smaller studios. Okay, here's the key facts. As I said, we're currently 66 people. 1 in 5 are females or other genders. I don't know. We talk quite a bit what is the politically correct way to putting it out, but there's some diversity there, and we are about to grow a bit more in the coming year. Currently, we've been winning some awards. For instance, Nordic Game of the Year for the Resogun, which is a PlayStation 4 launch title. Some others. We have won Finnish Game Awards quite a few times. So forth. Got quite a few recognitions from the media. And we were nominated as Action Game of the Year also almost 5 years back. Some unknown BioShock game won that category. I don't know what they were thinking. So we believe that you should have a purpose in your company. This evolutionary purpose for us, obviously, at the beginning, as always, is to make great games, create something that nobody else can create, and bring happiness and joy to our fans. But over the years we have developed another purpose. So we aim to be the best workplace in which you can develop yourself professionally and also as a person. And that's kind of the thing that we are tackling now. We try to figure out how to create a great place to work, and how do we can encourage people to grow and take more responsibility and be a better professional. So, short history here. We started with 4 PC titles in the 90s. The business was totally different back then. You would need to go to go to a publisher, and publisher would then print the CDs or then DVDs and put down those in the boxes and then put through the retail stores. So definitely weren't any online shops or digital distribution back then. So you basically needed to work with the publisher. So we started doing these PC games, and these are the first of those. Then we made the transition. The games we've always had done were kind of more towards the console audience. So we started our first console game, but we hit the really hard time back then. So we got the game called Transport Snowboarding out, which was an Xbox title, our first console title. We were supposed to do a Dreamcast game, but back then, so we were working on a Dreamcast, but eventually, Sega didn't really do that well with their platform, so they withdraw from this hardware business back then, and luckily Microsoft was kind of working on a new Xbox, their new console, so we became one of the early titles on that platform. But we were during these years we were pretty in deep. We had troubles to find a new deals, and we did all kinds of deals. We, for instance, spun off a mobile gaming company back in 2000 when you had money. We had a company called Spring Toys. It's pretty funny that we could raise for that company, which only had a few guys coming from our studio, and we could raise 1.5 million to that back in the day. So that was a crazy time, early 2000s. You could really investment money came into this business, and obviously there were a lot of success stories there. But that was one trial that we tried. We did quite a few of those mobile or handheld titles. We helped Guerrilla to optimize their PSP, Killzone Liberation, and so forth. So it was kind of a difficult time, and we did a work on Nokia Engage, if you remember. You remember the Gizmondo? Is anybody aware of that platform? Tabwave was a Palm Pilot-based device that didn't come to the markets. So we did quite a few things in order to survive. So that was the thing. The big thing what we were able to invest in was a big PlayStation 3 prototype. It was a big action adventure game. So actually, PlayStation 2 prototype, I have to say, because PlayStation 3 wasn't there yet. So we invested a lot this big third-person action adventure back then, but unfortunately we couldn't sell. I think in hindsight we could say that maybe the timing wasn't right, so people were trying to anticipate the titles for the PlayStation 3, and we were working on PlayStation 2. But I think that in a sense helped us to get further relationship with Sony later on. So for instance, we got that gig with Guerrilla because the guys knew that we are technically very good. So we did a PSP optimization for those guys. But anyway, these were the kind of hard times, for us. But then something new happened. So console games got their own digital distribution. So we were among one of the very first to start working on downloadable console games. So Super Stardust HD back in 2007 was one of the early titles there for the PlayStation Network, and we followed that up with several other titles. So this was a really good period, but eventually we found out that the audience for those smaller games were quite limited. So for some reason people didn't buy that many of those smaller games, and obviously it changed quite a bit with this next generation, meaning PlayStation 4, because everything became digital. Up until then it was mostly like smaller titles were available there, but then suddenly you had all the titles in the stores. So you were basically competing with the big guys as well, and the sort of the shelf space or kind of the shop space there got very limited as well. So we needed to start to think about what to do, and but we managed to do. Basically we set out that we gonna be among the best developers doing these smaller, more focused games, and we did that. But unfortunately, we couldn't get enough financial success of those titles. So we always went from one agreement to another. So we didn't get that big a success that we would be able to fund some game ourselves without the support from publishers. So we were kind of going from one deal to another, but that we managed to do quite well. That is during that period of time, and we grew up to 50 or so people during this time from 20-25. When we started the Superstars or finished that, I think we had only 15-18 people back then. So it was a good, slow kind of a growth time for us. I could say that we sort of are masters of the twin stick shooter. I think we did one of the best twin stick shooter of all times. The game is called Nex Machina. Last year reviewed really well, 88 Metacritic, among the top-rated games of last year. You can read that at the Guinness Book of Records. Video games top 10 reviewed game of last year. Released last summer, June 2017, but the unfortunate thing was that we had invested quite a bit into this title, pushed the boundaries, pushed the tech, but unfortunately we couldn't get the return for this for our efforts. So that led to something else. So it led to basically this. So we were saying that arcade is dead, at least for us and people obviously. Our fans weren't really happy about it, but we were sort of surprised by the response. So I think it got what I wanted to accomplish, that people would talk about these things, and they get the attention of that. There are certain genres that are hard to do. For us, we always wanted to polish our games and push the technology and gameplay, invent new things, and this started this sort of a cultural meme: arcade is dead, arcade is not dead. Some people were pissed off because we were saying that okay, we are not doing these kind of games anymore. But on the other hand, we had been doing quite a few different kind of games over the years. The part of the main releases we've done, not every game was inspired by some old arcade games. But that was a kind of a tough decision. But we had seen the writing on the wall earlier, so we were kind of preparing for this. We had prepared for this earlier. For instance, the other PlayStation 4 exclusive Matterfall, which was also released last year. We already used Unreal Engine. We made the decision back in 2013 to do that. So because we understood that we need to make bigger games in the future if we want to survive and prosper. And for that reason, we wanted to have some experience on that engine already, and that's why we made Matterfall and used Unreal Engine. Before that, basically, we always had used our own engine, on internally developed engines. But there was something interesting that came out of this as well. But obviously, these are the main reasons why you need to make big decisions and changes, pivoting, if you like. You would need to survive. That's a simple reason. We are not sure that why kind of the death of the arcade happened, but especially the cost of doing stuff always was rising all the time. So for instance, we spent about 30 man work years on Nex Machina, so you can understand it starts to be pretty expensive. But I guess one thing is that the gamers who were playing, let's say, Superstars 10 years earlier, I think they had grown older and maybe they weren't buying games anymore. So that one might be one way of doing that. But also we knew from the other companies, like the Geometry Wars was a big franchise, but Geometry Wars 3 didn't sell that well before Ex Machina. Japanese masters like Gave and Treasure, they stopped Keystay business operations early 2020. So we were kind of a last man standing in a way, and but we just stopped supporting that. We stopped kind of a 20-year-old streak of doing these kind of games last year. We need to do something else. But something funny came about with this as well. So we actually have a documentary movie of the process of making of an Ex Machina. The cool thing that was that we worked with our hero, our Eugene Jarvis, who was sort of the father of twin stick shooter games. So at first we were thinking of doing a Kickstarter campaign out of this game, and that we got this company, documentary movie company, come along to shoot that. But one thing led to another. It started to live a life of its own. And this guy was saying that, okay, hey, let's make a full documentary movie out of it. And well, that's happened. It was premiered in Finland a couple of weeks back. Now it's available on streaming services. I just heard that it's available on Steam tomorrow, starting tomorrow. So it's go there and I'm gonna check there if you have purchased that movie before you leave. So go to your iTunes or Amazon, whatever service that is. And now I want to show you some trailers. So here you go. Let's see.
My entire childhood is filled with memories of being at the arcade. I would always be collecting coins whenever I got a chance, because I knew that the next visit to the arcade is always around the corner and I need to be prepared.
Tonight it's a big thing for us at Housemarque. We're announcing our next game project, and we'll be working together with Eugene as a cooperation.
Why was I not informed of this? I'd always said that it would be a cold day in hell that I would ever work on a Robotron sequel. I mean, what could go wrong?
We're fucked.
Maybe I'm more of a creative or artistic person than I am a managerial or a leadership type. But doing both at the same time is killing me.
Half of the marketing budget is now wasted, so not good at all.
I'm gonna collapse before Housemarque does. Are we doing this?
Yeah,
really?
go.
You got this, man. You got this.
Sony call with the PR people. Right now, they're not convinced.
If you're wrong here, then you're bringing
A lawsuit.
Just taking a little idea, turning it into a supernova. I feel like we are soul brothers.
This is the most important project Housemarque has ever made.
Hey, name of the game.
Take my money.
All of it.
Okay, so it's not just coming soon, it's available now. Okay, so obviously being in the business over 20 years, survivability is a big thing. So that's I like if anybody has read Nassim Taleb, he knows what I'm talking about. But in order to succeed, you need to survive first. So that's a bit of first principle. And basically that your beliefs that how much you believe in things is not in like what you say, it's more like how you act. So what are you willing to risk for? And that's why whenever you are thinking about doing something, you think whether you put your own skin in the game first, and then you can ask other people to do the same. If you're not willing to do it, then nobody else probably aren't willing to do it either. So core beliefs, what kind of started this change, that we always wanted to be a two-project studio. I think that's proved to be good since like we've been that way 10 years. Certainly the thing that we need to create bigger games for the bigger audiences that we have been thinking about already over 10 years ago when doing PlayStation 2 big prototype, investing a lot into that. Unfortunately, that didn't bring us a deal, but we have another shot at it. need to get into new genres that are provides more potential for people to enjoy, more approachable basically. And obviously we're never gonna lose our core competencies, so it's always about the gameplay and second-to-second action for us. But we are bringing that into that competence into new genres. And the other thing has been that we need to gain experience of multiplayer games. Obviously, we mostly have been doing single-player games in the past, some cooperation, co-op elements like in Alienation a couple years back. So and then kind of going towards experimenting, going towards to these live games, monetization, experimenting something like that. So that's what we thought a few years back, and that's where we are at the moment. What we are trying to do at the moment, obviously updating our company culture, be more aware of things than before. We are starting to get people from abroad with more diverse backgrounds. So that's we need to take care and more attention about how to deal with the company culture. The other thing, obviously, we need to build currently a AAA development capacity. So that is totally different now. For instance, we are working on a game, an unannounced AAA game, which we already have a 50 people team working on it. It's already twice as big as we ever had on any game. I think Alienation at 25 or so, and this team should grow up to 60 people next year. So this is managing that kind of a game is totally different than doing like 50 people project. So we have needed to, constantly adjust our ways, and now I think we are getting somewhere. What would be the best way to manage these complex productions, and obviously new core competencies are needed. For instance, we have been looking for a writer. We have a narrative designer in our studio. Kind of a story hasn't been a big part of our games before. They're more like a setting, but now there's all this kind of things that we need to figure out how to do. Some key principles. This is a great book about like progressive organization. Frederic Laloux, Reinventing Organization. You have three key principles what the new kind of companies are embracing: self-management, more responsibility throughout the company. For instance, the teams are mainly responsible for recruiting and onboarding. Obviously, there's HR kind of coaches and people who are helping with that process, but team is basically for us interviewing the candidates and so forth, and making the decisions whether the guy or person fits into this team. So self-management doesn't mean less management, actually means more, because it's kind of what the managing stuff is spread out throughout the organization. Wholeness, on the other hand, means that we need to have this sort of a safe environment in which people can be themselves, and not just to be at the workplace as their kind of work personality, but bring their whole person to the workplace, so that in that way we can get better results and have better ideas basically. So we are hoping that we are creating this environment that everybody has a saying and dare to say things aloud and dare to suggest new features and so forth. An evolutionary purpose, it's just not to make money or something like that. Like I started this with our purpose, obviously make great games, but also create a great workplace. That's the thing. There's a more on culture. We just finished this thing. Let's see what it's called. Housemarque Mindset Manual. You can see all kind of things that are our topics are there: diversity, non-harassment, open spaces, ask for advice, decision-making process. Everybody gives feedback. This kind of tells a little bit about what this is all about. But it's kind of that this is ongoing process, of course, and when we figure out better ways and add more things there. We're gonna update that document. But this is kind of the maybe one example that how you need to, when you get more and more people in, maybe we can need to write down some of the things and some of the principles that you can actually check out. What are the values of the company? How we aim to be. We're obviously not perfect, and it's not everybody is taking care of all the principles. Sometimes we have bad days and so forth. We might get angry at somebody and so forth. But in principle, we are trying to do this thing. So at least everybody would know that what is the aim as a company culture as well. But I think this leads to a better company, and we also are trying to again add more diversity. Try to figure out how to encourage different kind of people to apply for us. It's always in this. Everybody knows that in this industry, challenge to get females to apply to positions. We try to figure out how to make the sort of barrier lower and try to present a friendly face towards the potential recruit. So I think one of the key principles is this principle of charity. So I think this is a good value that we truly believe that the person who is doing his job is doing his best and at his best of his ability. So even though sometimes you have a kind of a passionate discussion about something, but I think respecting each other is kind of a simple key principle which we have. So that is kind of a one part of it. So at times, of course, you get tight deadlines, and you're stressful, and you might not be remembering to behave. But I think this, at least saying this aloud, help us everybody to remind ourselves that hey, everybody's trying their best, and we are all professionals here, trying to create the best possible game. And game is the king. The product is the king. That we try to do decisions based on that, based on that principle. Okay, so the new era has sort of started. AAA IPs, maybe live games. So we have announced a game called Storm Divers earlier this year. It's a pretty funny story in a way that it's a battle royale game. But believe it or not, we thought about it back in 2015 in February. So how we typically generate ideas is that we have once in a while pitch days, so everybody can suggest a game idea. Both of the games we are working on right now have come from these pitch days. And in one February Friday 2015, one guy suggested this concept called Gilling Games, and it was a battle royale. And we thought that this is an interesting niche. It might have a potential to grow, and certainly it did so. So we got into prototype in 2016, and when we finished Next Machina and Battlefall, we were able to put more guys into it. But by that time, obviously last year, the genre has exploded, and we were like, let's see what can happen with that. But we have unannounced game what we are working on, and I think that might be the track going forward. Trying to think bigger games, like games that need 50, 60, maybe more people to work to develop. So that is a kind of the big challenge. The big challenge for that reason that kind of deals are quite rare. So basically, this starts with 20 million plus projects. So not that many deals are made every year of this size. But we are facing new nice challenge, and luckily we have now great opportunity to create a big game, the most ambitious game we ever made. So we'll see what's gonna happen. If you don't hear about that game, then you know that we didn't do well. But maybe, I hope, we are able to get it out in, I don't know, in 2 years or so. So this is kind of I think concludes my presentation. So basically we are sort of in a fourth era of Housemarque. So first we started out as a small PC game developer. Then we had something first console game and mobile stuff and survival years. Then we became a master of downloadable console games, one of the best reviewed games of all times. And now we're starting our next adventure, so that it doesn't get boring. Yes, a hint: we are looking for new people. There were people helping to find those. Maybe somebody already went to the booth. I think it's closing now. Yeah. So, but still, we are kind of looking for it. You can come to, if you are interested, check out our website, and you can find the roles that we are looking for. Okay, I'm finished. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for this interesting speech. I would like to ask the audience if they have any questions. Okay, one question.
So in all the years you've been running this company, what is the thing you're the most proud of and the thing you regret the most?
Proud of is quite easy. We had a couple of nights ago, we had a Christmas party, and we have these 60 people plus who were attending, and you see that they formed their, probably lifelong friendships, and the great thing that you can facilitate these people to make great stuff, what they want to do, what they're passionate about. I think you need to remind yourself that, I think this is being good. I think that's great. Regrets, I don't know, pretty hard to say. Managed to do this for 23 years already. Always there's tough times, but those teach you something probably. I wouldn't, you could change a few days, or you could change a few years or months or whatever. Sometimes you feel, because I think being a CEO is a quite different role than anything else. So it can get under your skin. So if you're responsible for the livelihood of many people, and only you kind of know that, oh shit, we need to do something in the coming 10 months or whatever. We need to sell something in order to survive and move forward and keep the team intact. So, but on the other hand, yeah, it's part of that life.
Okay, maybe some other questions. One more, two more. Okay.
Thanks for the interesting insight into Housemarque. And my question is that, can you talk actually a little bit, or maybe not, on the yet unannounced title?
No.
Okay.
The only thing I can say, unannounced new AAA IP.
Okay, thank you.
If I understand correctly, you are not releasing for mobile platforms your games.
Not mobile, no.
Okay, tell me why you don't like mobile platforms.
Well, we did try. We were one of the earliest guys to do mobile. 2000, we spun off a company. 2005, we did something. But I think the key thing is actually the type of game we do. We feel that you need to have a controller in order to play our games. So transforming the experience to touch-based devices, I think we never felt that it's good enough. But maybe the power of the machines of these phones obviously are increasing, and you hear amazing things that people are playing Fortnite on their mobile phones. So maybe in the future. But I think it's most likely that we are aiming for 60 frames per second, very tight gameplay kind of controls, So we have felt that you can't do them with the virtual joysticks, for instance. But maybe in the future we do something. Who knows?
Okay, thank you.
One more.
Hi. Tell me, please, do you have offices in other countries?
No, we just have a Helsinki office. Yeah.
Yes. And the second question is, which kind of games engines do you use for game development?
Well, currently we are using Unreal for both of the games. On the top of that, we are creating own technology. We have VFX, visual effects engine. So which we are using, which we integrated, which was developed first for Resogun and then Nex Machina, and then we did a Unreal sort of a port. Now we've been exclusively developing that for Unreal. But there's other tech stuff we are working on, so we still have that. But it's good to have this engine that is being developed all the time. Okay.
Some questions? So I have question.
Okay.
Actually, I like this screen where you show the culture of the company, and I'm wondering, when did you realize that this is some kind of necessary thing? Because I think that this is quite necessary, because when your company grow and some newcomers come to you, they should realize and understand what rules and what situation and all things about the company you are planning to work with. This is the first question. And the second question, I just read that your teammates like to work in open spaces. As to my personal practice, I understood that I realized that open spaces is not one unique universal solution for all kind of people, because some for instance, programmers are good at open spaces because they're quiet and they're friendly, quiet. The artists or just game designers, they are more into talk to each other, and programmers are not.
Yeah, actually, we have a different meaning for open space. I think I rushed through the slide a bit. So open space is basically we have had it that 3 times. So every 6-9 months we gather off-site. Basically, open space is a thing that everybody can suggest a topic. Like there was diversity, how to be more, environmentally friendly, how to deal with the kind of a stress, how to organize this. So each person can suggest a topic, and then the people gather around that topic. So typically you have 3-4 topic discussions going on at the same time. So the idea is that everybody can suggest a topic, and then people who are interested in discussing about those are gathered together and try to figure out and have a solution for that. So this is part of that wholeness thing, that part of the safe environment, that everybody has a saying. Everybody can say something and suggest the solutions, suggest the topics that we should address. So it's a good way. Quite a few studies, I guess, shows that even if you have a chance to voice your opinion or talk about it, it's good. Even though nothing happens afterwards, even that is good, that you can actually have your time to say about whatever the issue is. So that is actually the open space. It's a kind of a meeting where we discuss things, and every topics come from the employees. And the first question, actually, when we thought that it was good to have more formalized, like the mindset manual, we just got it finished a few weeks back, all the first version. We have been thinking about this for quite a few years. But I think this sort of relates. You have new people coming in as you kind of are speculating. We are growing a bit bigger, and then you need to try to get people up to speed faster. So it's just, I think more serious we'll be discussing about this about 2 years or so, and try to move forward that way.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, okay. Thank you guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for this awesome session. Итак, напомню, что через 14 минут к нам подойдет Елена Лобова с Achievers Hub и участниками, и у нас будет